Hello and welcome guys to the stream number 4 of the series where I create the personal finance management application. And let's quickly recap what we have done in the last stream. So basically we've created tests for our aggregate and entity of domain-driven design units. And yep, so today we're gonna implement a couple new classes, abstract classes that we will use later. These classes are for CQRS. CQRS stands for Command Query. I don't quite remember what it stands for. Command Query Responsibility, I believe. Let's quickly check, because I think I forgot. CQRS meaning. So what does CQRS stand for? Command Query Responsibility Segregation. Yeah, so it is the architectural pattern when we kind of like treat commands and queries separately of each other. So we segregate read and write query operations for our data store, and that's what we're gonna implement right now. So let me quickly start our timer and let's go to coding. In half an hour I will switch back to the comment section and I'll answer your questions if there are any. But for now, let's start. So we will create a new file which will be command.base.ts and export abstract class command. Let me quickly open my example. Yeah, so basically we've previously installed, let me check, yeah, we have installed Nest.js CQRS package, so it means that we have almost like everything that we need, but we need to define like abstract classes for actually it's not abstract class, it shouldn't be abstract class, it should be like a concrete implementation of our command. And let's quickly define what it consists of. So we will need an ID, which is string, and we will also need a command metadata, which will be the type command metadata, I believe, like this. Let's quickly define this interface. So interface command metadata. Okay, so what we need to pass inside our command object? Basically we definitely need correlation ID, which we will retrieve for each request. So basically when our client, our front-end application or our mobile application will send a request to the backend part of our application, we will assign unique ID for that request, and we can like track all the actions that are related to this request. So this is a correlation ID which we will store in command metadata. We will also have, yeah, so basically we will also need causation ID. Causation ID, it's kind of like an ID which will help us to reconstruct the execution order if needed. So for example, if we'll chain our commands, so one command will trigger another command and another command and so on. So by storing this causation ID, so it's basically the ID of the initial commands, we will restore all the actions, and it will help us to debug if there are any issues in the future. So we will need a causation ID. We will also need a user ID. So if user is signed in, we will definitely, it will be nice to track which user triggered these commands. And we also need a timestamp for tracking the time of creation this command, I believe. Okay, so this is metadata. So yeah, let's define a constructor. We will pass props, which are command props of unknown, or like this, unknown, my typo, command props, and let's define these command props here. So basically command props or what are command props? Basically we just need to take everything from commands. So we will need to take optional partial type of our command. Let me import partial deep type definition. Why no suggestions? Come on, VS Code. So import from type first. What the fuck? Did we actually install it or not? Oh wow, I'm so stupid. I forgot to install this typefast library. Let's fix it. So what is typefast? It's a set of useful types and interfaces. So like library of boilerplate types that we might need. So let's install it. npm add -d typefast. Yep, great. Let's check. Yeah, we have typefast now, and we need to import partial deep. Partial deep is wait a sec. Why it's not formatting? You know, I've switched back to VS Code from Cursor because I don't really like the I don't know, after the latest update, the Cursor is now basically not usable because it's so laggy. So I decided to switch back to VS Code and just install this plugin continue dev, which basically provides the same functionality as a Cursor. But I think that I forgot to set up VS Code for me. So we need to choose the default formatter. Yeah, configure. We're using Prettier, but we didn't install Prettier. But why? Because I forgot to switch to TypeScript. Yeah, now it should be okay. Yeah, now it's okay. So partial deep from type first, and partial deep basically makes all the properties partial, not only the direct properties, but also the built-in properties of all the objects. So it's almost the same as partial type, which is built in TypeScript, but also it makes partial all the objects inside. So that's exactly what we need to use. And command props will make these command properties optional, and we will also need to omit I believe omit ID and metadata. Yeah, like this. What's wrong? So basically we take some type as a generic type here, right? We exclude ID and metadata from it, and we combine it with our command with properties, optional properties of command class. Yeah. So, but in constructor we don't know beforehand which properties will be defined in this generic interface, right? So that's why we put here the type of unknown, and inside our constructor we need first to check if these props are empty or not. For that case, we've already implemented guard. Let me quickly open it. The guard, which is empty, let's call it. So if guard dot, what's wrong, man? Guard dot is empty props, it means that we will need to throw an error, throw new argument not provided exception, and command props should not be empty, right? Okay. What else do we need? What else do we need? So this dot id equals props dot id, or we will assign a random id, random UUID, right? This dot metadata equals props dot metadata, like this, but no, actually not. This dot metadata. So correlation ID we will take from metadata, or we will assign a random. No, it's not a random ID. We should get it from our context. So for that case, we need to define CLS service manager dot get CLS service to retrieve our context, and in correlation ID we call CLS dot get ID, like this. Causation ID we will take from metadata, or no, we don't need anything else. So if there is a causation ID, we should keep it, right? We should keep it, and it should be optional. It's not required. User ID we write again from metadata. Timestamp we're assigning from the metadata, or we creating a new timestamp of now. So yeah, basically that's it. We have our command class, and let's quickly create one more class for queries. So it's not a command base, it's command.ts. and query.ts. So for queries, let's make it base. I believe it should be base, because we will have an abstract class, export abstract class query base, because we don't know beforehand which shape will be the query, right? So we'll make it abstract and we will make it empty, but we know that we will also need paginated query, export abstract class paginated query base, which extends query base like this. So what is paginated query base? Paginated query base, we will need this type of queries for calling and retrieving paginated data from our backend. That's it. That's easy. So what we will have to keep here, limit, which is number. We will also need offset, which is number. We will also need order by, which is of type order by. Yeah, from our repository. Okay. What else? We need page, which is number. And let's define constructor props, which are paginated params. Paginated params. Do we have one? We don't have one. Let's define it. Paginated params of type T equals partial so limit, offset, what else? Order by, and page, like this. So paginated params, which params we will accept in a constructor? We will accept everything from some class, but we will remove all the params that already defined in our paginated query base. Right, and we will also need paginated query params from our repository. If you remember, we defined paginated query params here when we were defining repository. But you know what? We will need offset here as well. Offset here as well, which is number, like this. Yeah, we omitting it. Yeah, so, okay, once again, we are taking these params, except offset, and we are combining with some kind of like generic type we don't know beforehand, right? Paginated params of paginated query base of some kind of query, right? And we will also need, so let's provide default values. This dot limit equals props dot limit, or so what's the default limit? 20 is okay, I think. This dot page equals props dot page or 1. Or 1 or not. The first page. Okay, this dot offset equals yes, this dot page minus 1 multiplies by limit, which is good. This dot order by equals props dot order by, or field created at param descending. What's wrong here? String is not assignable to type order by. String is not assignable to type order by. Which is props.order by of course like this. Yeah, so basically that's it. We are taking order by which we provide in props, if any, or we are just making it default ordering by created add field, but we may not have pre-created field. We may not have a created add field. We may not have a created field, so let's remove it. Let's remove completely, and let's make it optional, like this. Okay, so our query classes are done. Our query classes are done. What's wrong? Command is ready. Query is ready. What's next? Repository is ready. Repository report at least. Let's quickly make unit tests for command and queries, and after that I'm gonna switch to the SQL repository abstract class. Okay. Yeah. So we have 4 more minutes. I think it will be enough. Let's create a new test file, which will be command.spec.ts. And let's ask AI, because it will be easier. What's wrong here? Local config. So files, command base, create tests using ytest. Let's check. I think it'll be much faster. Okay, and let's fix it. So what's happening here? We're defining a mock service for our Nest.js CLS package, which is okay. We are mocking crypto random UUID function, which is, I know we can keep it, why not? So describe command before each we clear all mocks. Use fake timer. Set system time. For what? Okay. So let me open my test file in the other project, and we'll just compare what's happening. So command equals new command. Sorry. So if we are creating a new command with empty props, it means we will have an argument not provided exception, which is correct. If we're creating a new command with null, we're gonna receive the same exception, which is correct. it should create a command with default values when minimal props provided. So if we will provide some data, um, maybe we should make it generic, I believe. Let me check. Okay, anyway, if you provide some data, we're expecting this ID to be mock UUID because it will come from crypto module. Okay. Expect command metadata to equal correlation ID equals mock correlation ID, which is true. Causation ID equals undefined, which is true. User ID equals undefined, which is true. Timestamp equals current timestamp, but it's not true. This one is not true. This one is not true because timestamp will be a little bit different in that case. Should be a little bit different. Something like that. Okay, it should create a command with custom ID when provided. Custom ID equals custom ID, some data equals test. But it should be as command props. Okay, it should create a command with custom metadata when provided. Custom metadata is defined, right? Okay, let's quickly switch to our chat, and after the small pause I will continue to work on this test. What do we have here? It seems to me that the chat is empty. Let me quickly check. I really hope that... Oh my god. I use restream.io application to like stream at like different platforms at the same time. For example, I stream at YouTube and I stream in LinkedIn. But for now, it's kind of it's dead. It gives me an error. Oh my god, I hope that this stream is okay now. Let me check in YouTube what's going on. Because if I'm streaming to nowhere, it sucks. Yeah, I think that's... I am live. I should be live. Yeah. All good. Hopefully. Okay, guys, so there are no questions. which I'm a bit upset of because I love questions, I love communication, I love to chat with you guys. So as there are no questions, I'm gonna go to a little break. So see you guys in 3 minutes. Okay guys, let's continue. I'm excited. I'm definitely excited. But for fucking sake, guys, just put something in comments. Just say hi. Tell me hi. Because I really sometimes I think that I'm speaking to myself and it's kind of weird. But I'm really trying to make a useful content, not just like basic standard like hello world application, which are like the whole YouTube is like, I know there are billions of videos when you make fucking to-do apps super simple, but I really trying to make useful content using the modern tech stack, modern architectural approaches, right? And you can't say hi. You don't say hi to me. Just say hi. Tell me where you're from. What time of the day is it in your place? Okay, guys. So new command. Let's try to run it. npm run test. We have a file. We have a file on 36 line. 36 line. Here. Maybe I was wrong. Timestamp. We are expecting this timestamp, but we are getting this one. Because use fake timers, you set system time command date. Should be okay. Should be okay. No, it's not okay. It's not okay. Okay. As soon as we are faking all the timers, right, we can just put it here, to be honest. What's wrong? Yeah. Just a small typo. Yeah, now it's passed. Now it's passed, and let's check coverage. Command base is 100% covered, which is awesome, guys. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, and let's do the same shit for queries. Oh, I forgot to put a timer. I forgot to put a timer. Query dot spec dot yes. Okay, let's go to our AI. Create tests using test. I don't really like this like vibe coding thing that is popular right now. I don't believe in it. You know that guy from the CEO from Anthropic, which is like the one of the creators of Claude AI model, which is especially for useful for coding, which is trained on coding data. He told that in 1 year 100% of the code will be written by AI, and I think it's bullshit, because sometimes, most of the times, AI gives you unusable shit, like in that case. You see, I still have to fix something, but it's really cool companion. It's not like a replacement for developer. It's like an assistant, as it should be. And I think that's, guys, we are safe. AI will not replace us, at least now. Okay, anyway, we are safe. We are pretty safe. What do we have here? So, what do we have here? We have some kind of test paginated query which extends our base class, which is cool. We can remove this constructor because we don't need it. It doesn't make any sense. So first, it should set default values when no parameters provided. We're creating new test query, and we're expecting these values to be default, which is okay. It should use provided limit value. If we create a value, if we provide a limit here, we should expect it to be set. Okay. It should use provided page value and calculate correct offset, which is cool. Should handle custom limit and page together. Nice. Should set order by when provided. Should set order by. What's wrong here? Property parameters missing in type fields direction but required in type order by. What the fuck, guys? What's wrong? What the fuck is field param? Field param, and it should be in lowercase as constant, like this. Okay, and it should calculate correct offsets with different limit and page combinations. So there are some kind of test cases, and we're expecting offsets to be so basically it is the same shit as this one. No, here we provide a page, here we provide limit and page. Yeah, basically we can remove this test case because it is already covered in the last one. Should handle custom limit and page together. We already have that. Yeah, I think we are done. Let's try to run it. PM run test. Yeah, everything is passed, and PM run test coverage. And queries are 100% covered. Yeah, as I told you previously, I mainly use AI tools just for creating tests, just to providing some auto completions, and if I stuck with something and I need kind of like boilerplate, I use AI for that, nothing else, because sometimes AI produces such a bad shitty code which is which is not usable, basically, not usable. Okay, so queries are tested. We also need some tests for the classes that we created previously. For example, domain event, value object, and repository. So let's create first domain event.spec.ts. Let's quickly make a domain event, create tests using ytest. Oh, I made a typo. Wow, it's pretty huge. Copy, paste. So what do we have here? So as never, Augment of type aggregate ID string and metadata is not assignable to parameter of type domain event props because types of property metadata are incompatible. What's wrong? We're missing some properties like timestamp and correlation ID. Timestamp and correlation ID. I think we made something wrong. Where is our domain event? So correlation ID, timestamp. These are required values, right? Domain event metadata. But we also provide some default values here, which doesn't make any sense. Which doesn't make any sense. Because metadata is optional. Metadata is optional, it means we can make it partial here. Okay. So let's see what we have here. So first we define some mocks, mock of our CLI service, mock of our crypto service for mocking random UUID. It should create a domain event with required properties. So if we provide aggregate ID as test aggregate ID, we're creating a new domain event, and event ID should be mock UUID. Yeah, aggregate ID is to be props.aggregate ID, which is true. Metadata should be defined. We should have CLS ID, we should have timestamp, we should have, yeah, we shouldn't have causation and user ID because these are optional values. Okay, it should create a domain event with custom metadata. Okay, we provide some custom metadata. What is now? Why the fuck it's created a separate variable? I don't understand. Oh my god, date.now. Okay. So we're creating new test domain event test. So okay, that's okay. It should throw argument not provided exception in case if props are empty. We check in different values, empty object, null and undefined. Okay. It should use CLS correlation ID when metadata correlation ID is not provided. So basically metadata is empty, right? And we should verify that correlation ID is to be from mock CLS ID, which is good. And the same for timestamp. The same for timestamp. Okay, let's check. npm run test. And we have files. Mock CLS ID is not defined. Mock CLS ID is not defined. But it is defined. It is defined. What's wrong? Because it's outside of the scope, right? So we need to copy this value. but it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, so it's outside of the scope, right? So we need to make it let What's going on here, guys? I think I broke something. Yeah, now it's okay. And we need to do the same stuff. Okay, let's try. We have one fail. There was an error when mocking a module. If using v.mock factory, make sure that there are no top level variables inside. Fuck. Fucking sake. Motherfuckers. It's hoisted, right? So if you're hoisted, why the fuck? I think we should already have these. What's wrong? Ah, we have a mocked return value here, right? Yeah. Let's copy it. Let's paste it here. Okay, and so we just need to replace it with mock CLS ID like this. I believe it should be enough. What's wrong? No top level variables here. Yeah, now it's okay. Finally. Finally. Okay, so our tests are done. Let's check coverage, and the main event class is covered by 100%, which is great. Let's also create one more test for value object. Value object dot spec.ts. Let's ask once again AI to create a test. We will provide value object file. Create tests using ytest. Chpunk. Let's see. You see, you still cannot just ask AI to do something without like thinking. You still need to think what's happening here. You still need to understand what's going on here. It means that you at least have to have some knowledge inside your head. So AI is just an assistant, not the replacement for you. Okay, value object. So value object. I don't like these long paths, so let's quickly replace it with what's going on here. Okay, so what do I have? Create concrete implementation for testing. We have string value object which extends primitive value of string, and it has no validation. We have complex value object which extends actual object, not a primitive value, and we have no validation. But I think we should also test some validators too. Let's check if we have any. No, we do not test. Let's make a validation. Let's make a validation, and if this dot props dot h is less than 0, we will throw a new exception because h must be positive value, right? So basically we are throwing here an exception, and we'll need to test it somewhere. Where do we use this? So we should create complex value object, right? It should throw argument not provide exception when props are empty, which is fine. It should throw argument not provide exception when primitive value is empty, which is cool. Our testing is value object, we're testing equals function. Unpacking, date handling. Yes, and we also need to, it should like this, it should throw an which exception which exception? Wait a sec. It's not argument not provide exception. It is argument invalid exception. Argument out of range exception. Yeah, so it should throw argument out of range exception when it should throw an exception when validation fails. Yeah, like this. Okay, let's check. npm run test. We have files. Props must be provided. Props must be provided. Something is wrong with our value object, I believe. Should create complex value object. Should create complex value object. We are creating a new value object with some of the props, right? And what's wrong? We need to test it. We need to test it with debugger. It will be even better, I believe. Why props are empty? Why props are undefined? I don't understand. I don't fucking understand. And okay, let's switch to our chat because we have only 15 seconds left. I'll switch to chat, and after the small break, we will continue working on this class. It seems that we have some kind of error in our implementation. Let me quickly open the value object class here, like this. Yeah, so we will be checking what's going on and what's wrong after the short break. But first, let's check the chat, and there are no messages, no comments, no messages. I think that nobody watching me, which sucks. Oh my god, still speaking to myself. Okay guys, so I'm gonna jump off for 5 minutes and see you later. Okay. Okay, guys. If someone watching me even if it's not live stream for you, even if you are watching a recording, please put a comment here, just in order to make me think that it's not like it's not so to let me think that it is useful for someone. At least if at least one person will put a comment here, I will believe that I make something valuable. Because otherwise, I don't know, maybe I will. You know, these live streams are kind of like experiment for me because I've never done live streams before. So just gonna test it and see what's going on, what will be, right? But for now, the audience activity is not good because I have no comments. If you is watching me now, please put a comment here. At least say hi. Okay, so anyway, we need to test what's wrong with our value objects because we have some values. We have some values. We have some errors. I mean, I know what's going on. We're calling this validate method before we assign props, which means that our props are undefined at the moment. Which means that we need to make it like that. Yep. We need to make it like that. And yeah, should be fine now. One more error. Props must be provided in date handling. Date value object extends value object of the basic primitive value. It should handle date objects correctly. We have a new date. Okay. We create a new value object. Okay. And we are expecting props must be provided. Props must be provided. This dot is primitive and guard is empty. Props must be provided. But we provide some value. This is primitive. If object dot prototype has on property dot call value return true. Guard is empty. It's really weird. It's weird. So it should handle delete objects correctly. Okay, let's. We did not define any setting, any launch configuration, right? So let's create a new folder, .vs code, and let's create a new file, launch.json. Okay, like this. And I just want to copy it from my other project. Like this. And let's debug. Oh. Let's debug this test case. So we're creating date. Date is defined. We're creating a new value object. Let's check what's going on inside. So we have props with value. First we check if it is empty or not. If it is empty or not, this check is passed, this check is passed, 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 passed. We're returning false here. Okay. This one is false. And we need to check if it is primitive or not. If object.prototype has own property value, object.prototype has own property call value true. So it has value, so it means it is primitive. Yes, is primitive. We need to check if it is empty once again by using props.value. We have props.value, right? Let's go inside. So it's not a number, it's not a undefined value, it is a date. So if type of value equals object and object keys dot value dot length equals 0, that's a problem. That's a problem. So we need to add one more condition here. If and value is not instance of date. Value instance of date. Okay. Sounds great. Let's try once again. Yep. Everything is fast. So that's why we need unit tests, because it helps us to find some like tricky conditions, tricky logic that potentially may lead to issues. So in our case, we forgot to check if it is value or not when we're checking the object type. It means, and yeah, that's why unit tests are great. Now all the tests are passed. Let's check coverage. Coverage is perfect. And we also need to create one more test for our repository. Let's quickly do it. Repository.spec.ts. Create tests using ytest. Wow, it's a huge one. It's a huge one, so let's copy it and paste it here. So let's fix some errors that we have here. First we need to remove this one. Paginated, import it. Import this. Import that. What else? This one. Okay, great. So I think we don't have any issues. Let's check. It should create a paginated instance with the correct properties. So we apply some properties here. Okay, just a basic check of the constructor. We are mocking the repository that implements repository port. We have some items. Insert pushes something. Okay. Find one by ID. Okay. Find all promise. Okay. Find all paginated. Okay. Delete. Okay. And transaction which is empty. Okay. So it should insert single item successfully. Okay, so basically we just created the in-memory repository, right? Mock in-memory repository, and we're checking all the operations that we have in our repository interface by using this mock repository implementation. It should work, I think, out of the perfectly fine out of the box. So let's check it. npm run test. And yes, everything is passed. Okay, let's check coverage. And yes, repository is 100% covered. Perfect, guys. So I think we are done. But let's quickly create a unit test for our guard, because we just found the bug in our guard implementation. Maybe there are some more bugs. New file guard.spec.ts. Should be pretty easy. Copy paste. Okay. Import guard. Yep. Should be fine. npm run test. Yes, and everything is passed. npm run test coverage. And our guard is, what is it? 100, not 100%. You see, we missed something. 19, 12. So we are not checking for empty arrays. We're not checking for empty arrays. But okay, that's weird. That's weird. Yeah, 100% coverage. So basically we just need to fix node of these validations. Okay, so I think we're done. We have now command and queries implemented in our base library, and I think that the only thing that is left and that I want to implement is like base SQL repository class. So for that, let's create a new folder, database, and inside let's create SQL repository.base.ts file. And now we will need to install a couple new libraries for our SQL databases. Not the database, but we will just use one database for now. But for our SQL database, and to communicate with it, we will need an ORM, which is Object Relational Mapper. So basically it is a thing that will communicate between Node.js and Postgres database. And for that, we will use beautiful library that's called Slonik. Slonik is a Russian word for elephant, little elephant. But it is perfectly fine for, it's one of the, I know, it's really small, it's really fast, and it is a type-safe ORM for Postgres databases. So let's install it. Let's install it. Installation. What the fuck, guys? come on. There should be something. How to install it. Anyway, npm Slonic. Okay. For fucking sake, there is no readme. There is no installation instructions. For fucking sake. Okay. npm add Slonic. Okay. We're cool. And now inside our database, inside our SQL repository base class, let's define our abstract class. So export, let me quickly close everything. Export abstract class SQL repository base SQL repository base. What do we need to provide to this class? What values? So basically first value should be our aggregate. Some kind of aggregate. Known. Wow, why aggregate is not generic? What's wrong, man? So the first item is some aggregate. The second value is a DB model of this aggregate. It should be a non-empty object with at least one property defined, which is ID. And yeah, that's it. And it should, of course, it should implement repository port for this aggregate. Okay, look good. One thing that we'll need one more class. We will need one more class. Inside our DDD folder, let's create quickly mapper.interface.ts. What is it? Mapper is basically it is a class that will help us to convert one type to another. So basically we will have domain entity, domain aggregate, because our repositories will be only for aggregates. Not every entities should not have their own repositories, because entities are a part of an aggregate, right? In the most cases. And it means that our repositories will be defined only for aggregates. And it means that we will need to convert our aggregate implementation, aggregate object, to a plain object that is suitable for writing in database. And for example, we will need to convert all the value objects into primitive values. We will need to convert all the entities into like basic plain JavaScript objects. And also we can convert aggregates to some kind of a JSON representation, which we can send as a response to a client, right? So for that case, let's create export class, not class, it's not a class, it's an interface. Export interface mapper. This mapper first should has domain aggregate, right? Domain aggregate, which extends from aggregate root of type unknown. And also it should has TB record type, which should be not TB record, it should be TB model. TB model to be extended from non-empty object with at least ID defined, right? And also there should be a response of unknown type. What methods we will have? To persistence, we will take the aggregate and we will convert it to DB model. We'll have two domain method which will do the opposite thing. We will take a DB model and we will convert it to an aggregate. And we will have two response method. We will take an entity and convert it to a response. That's it. Our mapper is ready, so we can use it inside our SQL repository base class, but we will do it after this short break. Let me quickly switch to the comments. No comments for now. It means that I'm gonna jump off for 5 minutes and see you a bit later. Okay guys, let's continue working on our project, so we don't have much time. To be honest, this is the last 25 minutes of our stream, and the next stream, I think, you know what guys, I think maybe, you know, I always like, I always tell you that there is no comments, there is no interactions, there is no like communication between you and me, but I know maybe you are watching me later, not now, maybe you don't like live streams, maybe I just stream at the wrong time, maybe you're sleeping right now, I don't know. Maybe I think the next week let's try to stream on Twitch too, and let's try to stream every day. It'll be kind of a challenge for me, and we will definitely finish our project early, because for fucking sake, it is the 4th week of me streaming once a week, and we are like, I feel that we are moving quite slowly, because we didn't even implement a single module. We're just working with the base classes, and it sucks. We need to move fast. We need to be strong. Okay, let's try to stream every day. Yeah, let's see. But anyway, the next streams will be only, so starting 26th of March, I'll be streaming every day, I think. Yeah. Let's see how it goes. Let's continue. Let's continue, guys. Even if you're not watching me, I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna finish this project, and hopefully I will make some money selling. Who knows? Sorry, guys, my voice sucks. So SQL repository base, right? What do we need to have here? First, for each repository, we will need to provide a table name, abstract table name. It is a name of the table in our database where all the values of this, all the values of the aggregate object will be stored. I mean, like the main body of an aggregate. We will also need to provide a schema, protected abstract schema. For schema, we need to install a new library, new package, npm add -d zod. Zod is a runtime validation, but I'm kind of curious, should it be installed to dev dependencies or just to dependencies? Let's check. Zod.dev, and we need to install it. Yes, I think it should be just an ordinary dependency, not a dev one. Let's check our package.json file. Why it is still here? npm remove zod, npm add zod. Yep, now it's okay. So zod, it will be a schema is a zod object of type zod raw shape, like this. So what is a schema? In schema, we will define all the like mappings between. So, for example, I'm thinking. Yeah. So we will need a schema to provide the typing for types for our Slonic requests and responses. That's it. So schema is a Zod object, right? What else do we need to have? We will have protected abstract relations, because each aggregate may have one or more entities inside, one or more value objects inside, and we will need to provide relations between these entities and aggregate inside our database, right? So basically it means that our aggregate will be spread between several database tables, and we will provide all these relations inside this object. So this object should be of type record string relation, record string relation. And what's wrong? So we need to provide an interface for relation. So first, what is a relation? A relation could be of different types. It could be one-to-one relation, one-to-one relation. It could be one-to-many relation, or it could be join through relation, which basically many-to-many relation, right? And so each relation, interface relation base, so each relation will have a related table name and a schema which is required. The same schema that we use, the same like type of schema that we use for the main table of our aggregate, and but just for the related tables. It is a relation base. What else do we need to have? We will need to have a one-to-one relation, interface one-to-one relation extends relation base. So it will have a type one-to-one. Okay. But one-to-one relations may be of different kinds. I mean, for example, we may have a class user, right? So imagine if it is a database. Okay, let's just define it. Let's take this. We may have a table user. This table user may have an ID, of course. This table user may have some kind of, I know, account ID, for example, account ID. And this account ID, it is a foreign field for foreign key for the second table, right? What's wrong? Okay, it is a foreign key for a second table, but imagine that our user is an aggregate, right? So it means that we are linking account table through the foreign key that is defined inside the main table, right? But there are also maybe some cases when the foreign key defined not in the main table but in the related table, like this, and it's still a one-to-one connection, right? So we need to support both cases, and for that we need to add some properties. Foreign key table, which could be either parent table of our aggregate or our related table, right? And we also need a foreign key, of course, foreign key of type string. So this is one-to-one relation. We will also need a interface one-to-many relation. For one-to-many relation, we just need a foreign key. It's a straightforward. At least for now. I can't imagine any. Yeah, it should be just a foreign key here. And of course, we need a join through relation, interface join through relation. So type of this relation, it is many to many. We will need a join table name. Join table schema. Join table foreign key and join table related foreign key. But let's rename it to just foreign key and related key, like this. So it means that each of the relations has a foreign key, right? Right. So we can move it to our base interface, like this. Okay. We defined three possible scenarios, three possible cases, three possible variations of a relation between database table, right? And we will store each of the relations inside relations object here. So let's define a constructor. Let's define a constructor. I think constructor should be protected in order to us to overwrite it in the future. But this constructor will have database pool from Slonic. Okay. It will also have CLS service. We will also need a mapper. We will also need a mapper. We will also need event emitter. And finally, we will need a logger. Yeah, looks good. Looks good, guys. So our SQL repository should implement all of the methods that we have in our repository port interface, which are insert, find one by ID, find all paginated, delete, and transaction. Let's define this. So let's start with find one by ID. That's the easiest one. Find one by ID. So we will have a main query. Main query. We will call pool. No, SQL dot type. We will provide type for this query from our schema, from the Zot object schema. What's wrong? This dot schema. Yep. And let's write a basic SQL request. So select everything from where? SQL.identifier table name, where ID equals ID, right? So basically we are retrieving all the fields for our main table of the main entity of an aggregate, and const main result equals await this pool so regarding the pool, let's quickly make one important thing. We need to provide a getter for our pool. So it should be protected get pool, which should return a database pool. But we will retrieve this pool from our context. In case if we have a transaction which is running this CLS get transaction connection, and we should return either transaction connection or pool. So okay guys, what's happening here? So imagine that we are like, as I told you previously, we'll have a set of aggregates, we'll have a set of entities, and each aggregate could possibly make some state changes in other aggregates in our system by raising domain events, right? And it means that all of these changes should be stored to the database in one transaction, because we want to ensure that all the changes are consistent, and if something fails, we will roll back all the changes to the previous state. So we kind of 100% sure that either it will be saved successfully or it will be rolled back to the previous state. What does it mean? It means that if we are saving something, but it's not like initial aggregate, but some aggregate in chain. For example, a user aggregate sent a domain event to account aggregate to change something and to save it. This account aggregate should be run so all the operations for this repository, account repository, should be run in the same transaction that was instantiated by the first aggregate in chain, right? So that's why we're checking if we have a transaction connection already defined. It means that we are in transaction already, and if it is defined, we will use this transaction connection to make all the changes in the current repository. If it is not defined, it means that we are using just a standard like pool, which we provide to constructor. That's it. But we need to define first this transaction connection. It should be in our app request context. App request context, transaction connection. Database transaction connection, like this. Okay, now I'm good to go. That's why I put little underscore here, because we are not gonna use this pool that we provide to constructor. First, we're gonna check if we already have a transaction connection defined and established. If it is the case, we will use it, right? So that's why we are overwriting with a like separate getter for pool. And it means that in main result, we can use this pool. Await this dot pool dot what do we need? Dot query, main query. Okay. So if main result rows dot length equal 0, it means that we can't find any entity with the provided ID. It means that we need to return an error, right? Return error. New what? Not found exception, I believe. Not found exception. Entity with ID not found in table name. Okay, cool. In case if we have some results, so in case if we have some results, const main entity equals main result dot rows, we are taking the first row from the result. What's wrong? Yeah. So why are we taking the first row? Because it is a find one by ID function. It means that we need to return only one aggregate, right? But in the response, we'll have like an array. Even if there is only one element, we will get an array, and we should take a first element. So we retrieved the main entity, and after that we will also need to retrieve all the related entities, because as I told previously, we may have some relations between the main table of our aggregate and the related tables of the child entities, right? For that, we need to define const related entities. Const related entities equals await load relations. Let's rename it fetch related entities for the main entity, right? For the main entity, but not for the main entity. Let's provide just an ID here. Why do we need the whole object widget? We need only an ID, to be honest. We will implement this function a bit later, but after that we will need to create aggregate with relations, which will consist of the main entity and all the related entities that we fetched. And after that, we will return OK. We will return OK, and before returning, we will map the aggregate to a domain model, to a domain entity. Sounds cool, right? Sounds cool. We have already run out of time, but yeah, we have already run out of time, but let's quickly implement this method, fetch related entities, because we will need it a lot in the next functions. But let me quickly check the comments. There are no comments for now. It means that we can continue. We can continue. Okay. Private async fetch related entities. For the ID, we will return a record of unknown record, or the array of unknown records. We will return an array of unknown records. In the future, we will implement the find all and find all paginated methods. But for now, we will just return a one record, right? No, I'm wrong. We will return an array of unknown records in case if it is a many-to-many relation or one-to-many relation. So it should be an array in that case. Okay, let's continue. So, let's decouple further this function. So we'll need const related queries equals object dot entries. We're taking all the entries from relations, and we will need to map all these relations which consist from name and the actual relation, right? And we are calling switch method here. So in case we are switching relation type, which can be one-to-many, many-to-many, and one-to-one. If it is one-to-one, we are calling fetch one-to-one relation. If it is one-to-many, we are calling fetch one-to-many relation. And if it is many-to-many, we're calling fetch many-to-many relation. And if it is something else, we are throwing an error, unsupported relation type. What's wrong? For fucking sake. Okay, let's keep it for now. So, we are throwing an error, right? It means that we need to provide try catch implementation here. Oh. I need to think what to put here, but for now let's just return a message. I will think about it in the future. Yeah, we are returning an error, and if it is not instance of error, we will return new error, unknown error, like this. Okay. No. Like this. So we are making try catch. We're trying to catch this error. We're throwing an error, right? Fetch one-to-one relation. Fetch one-to-one relation. To be honest, we don't need a name here at all. Just need an ID and relation. But after that, Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So, what's going on here? So, we have all these relation queries defined, right? After that, oh, sorry. After that, we need to retrieve all the results, right? And we need to fetch all the related entities. Const related entities equals like this, results dot for each. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, it will work, but I think we can optimize it later. So yeah, we are fetching all the related entities. We are creating an array. We are creating an array, and we just need to return it. Return related entities like this. Yeah, we are fine. So basically, we need to define only these three functions for now, right? Okay. Let's quickly do this. But first, I'm gonna check the chat. No messages for now. Today's stream is long, guys. Today's stream is long. But it's okay. It is cool. But maybe you know what? Maybe you know what? Maybe you know what? Let's do this. Fetch one-to-one relation. One-to-many relation. And many-to-many relation. Nope. Joins through relation. Like this. So basically what we need to do is implement it later. And I think we are done because today's stream is already a bit longer than I expected. So we need to implement these three functions: fetch one-to-one relation, fetch one-to-many relation. Basically, these functions just need to get a SQL result, right? We will need to call it Slonic for each of these relations. But we will do it in the next stream, and the next stream, as I told previously, will be on 26th of March, so just almost in 1 week. But after that, I'm gonna stream every day. I'll try at least. Maybe there will be more audience engaged, maybe not, I don't know. But anyway, Okay, guys, so let me quickly check chat one more time. There is no questions for now. And yep, let's quickly recap what have we done today. So we've created two new classes, which are command base and query base. We will use these classes for our CQRS implementation, when we will implement segregated commands and queries in our system. We also implemented a mapper interface, which will be like a linking park, linking stuff between our domain model and database model. We've also implemented a couple of unit tests for. By the way, I'm fucking stupid. This mapper interface, it shouldn't be here. Oh my god. It should be here in DDD folder, not in tests. Yeah, should be fine now. So we've implemented a couple of tests for commands, for domain events, queries, repositories, and query objects, and for our guard. So all tests are fine. And yeah, and now we started to work on our first real repository. It is an abstract class for our SQL repository, which we will reuse a lot in our application. So yeah, we can call it a day. I think we can call it a day. Thank you guys for watching me. Please provide me your feedback, put some likes, subscribe to my channel, and yeah, tell me what I need to improve. Tell me what I need to improve, because I want to make it as useful for you as possible and as valuable for you as possible. Okay, so thank you guys. See you the next week. Bye bye.